Hey, you guys, welcome back for our last episode in July. I hope you have loved the July episodes. If you haven't subscribed to the Soul Frequency Show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, do that. We have so many things coming up. I can't wait to share. I'm so excited. So many cool interview episodes, sessions episodes that we have in the works. Ha ha ha. We'll tell you about them as they're coming up. And today we are going to be talking about disconnecting from old ways. Who doesn't need to disconnect from some old ways? Come on, show me a little hand or raise it higher. This is so powerful. Like I always talk about the release section of my book, The Soul Frequency, being the stickiest section of the book because we want to keep piling things on and we don't necessarily want to be releasing things, but it's so powerful. So we're going to talk about disconnecting from old ways of being, and we're going to talk about whether those old ways are even really who you are in this episode. So here we go to record the Soul Frequency Sessions episode. This is Shauna Lee, and welcome to this week's The Soul Frequency Sessions. Real talk about real life and how to raise your energy frequency. All right, you guys, we are talking this week about disconnecting from old ways of being, right? So I was just doing the intro for YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go to The Soul Frequency Shauna Lee and subscribe. You can see me live on camera. And I really feel like disconnecting from old ways is how we raise our frequency at a very, very fundamental level. Like if all you did in your life was start looking at the ways of being that don't support your future and don't support you feeling good in your life and started to learn how to disconnect from those, that would be enough, right? That would raise your frequency and that would have you connecting to bringing new things into your life, having new experiences, seeing life in new ways. We talked about perception this month. We talked about creating more time this month. These are all topics, right, around raising our frequency, around how we operate at a higher frequency and how we bring in more creative flow and more creative energy. So look in your life this week, write down what are old ways of being. Maybe they are things like being jealous, which we talked about this month, just giving out all kinds of energy in the form of jealousy. Maybe it's being overwhelmed, like we talked about this month, giving out all kinds of energy and being overwhelmed, and then getting mad at people, right? Because you're so overwhelmed, you're like, back off, I can't do any more, right? Don't ask me to do anything else. Maybe it's the way we keep ourselves really bound up with time, which we talked about this month. These are all old ways of being that aren't going to serve our future self, right? That aren't going to help us get to that next level and really create what we want in the world. So whether we have felt a lot of guilt, right, in our life, guilt will hold us back, guilty of changing, guilty of not being there for others, guilty of standing up for ourselves, guilty of claiming that we want our life to be different. So important. We need to disconnect from the guilt. We need to disconnect from the shame, right? Shame of our past. Shame creates secrecy, hiding things from ourselves, hiding things from other people. Disconnect from that shame, right? And that will really move us forward. Another thing I see a lot in old ways is not claiming your time for yourself or your space, your importance in the world, thinking, who am I to take more time, right, to be joyful and enjoy my life? Who am I to spend money on growing myself? Who am I to really take up space in a room that I walk into? Oftentimes, people that have that kind of old way of being is that there were other people that really took up a lot of the space, right? There were other people's needs who were so big and great that you felt like your needs were nothing. And to really step into who you really are and beyond that programming, we have to start looking at these old ways. So the best way to call them out, write them down in a journal, write them down anywhere on a piece of paper, and just start calling out, like, this old way of being doesn't work anymore. This old way of being doesn't work anymore. And just go down the list, right? And identify these old ways of being. And when I say old ways of being, they might be things you're still currently doing, but I'm using old ways of being by saying they're old now. Now that we call them out, We're done with them. We're not going to be doing that anymore. We're going to be moving forward in our life, right? Opening up to new resonance and new frequency and allowing new stuff to flow into our life. Because that old stuff, those old ways of being are like a wall, right? They create this energetic wall to where the good stuff can't come in. And I want you to start thinking about being okay with not belonging, right? This sense of belonging is a desire that we have as human beings, but it keeps us in our old ways because we want to belong to all the people that we surrounded ourselves with from this old way of being. And that will keep us in that old frequency. So for a second, we just need to let go of needing to belong to all these old ways of being and the life that we created from them. And just for a moment, as we start to travel to a new frequency, let go of that, right? You're going to have a sense of belonging again. You're just going to have it at a different frequency, maybe with some different people in your life and some different experiences. And when it's based on your truest heart desires and your soul call, it's going to feel amazing. So we just have to, for a moment, right, disconnect from that old sense of belonging with things that ultimately don't feel good to us as we move into a new frequency. And we have to be willing to feel that, to connect to a new frequency. We have to be willing to feel the disconnection and the reconnection that happens on the other side. It's part of the process. It's the walk of transformation. And I'm going to be talking about this more and more through many different lenses, many different perceptions in many different ways, so that we can really cement this into our lives. This is a powerful portal of time here on the planet to really create our heart's desires and what is good and true and right to us. And so if you are called to this podcast, if you're called to this YouTube channel and you're listening to these episodes, then trust yourself. Right? It's not everybody that wants to listen to this. We have to be called to this information to step up in our life. So you're here, you're hearing the call, and you're integrating this frequency of information as I'm speaking it, and you want to start taking action on it in life. That's what seals the deal. That's what grounds this information. So this week, really write down, what are the old ways of being that you're disconnecting from? What are the old ways of being that haven't served you, that have kept you stuck, right? And what actions do you want to start taking in regards to these old ways of being? Whether it's getting support on how to release some of this old energy, which you can do through the soul frequency sessions that I offer. You can also do that through the soul frequency experience program, which we will be launching. The next one is in September. You can go to thesoulfrequency.com/experience if you want more information on that. I'll see you guys back here next week. You guys, we have done it. These are the July episodes of the sessions. I am so thrilled that you're here. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to connect with you. If you love these episodes, leave a comment below. Tell us what you want to hear more about. We always want to hear what sessions episodes you want, and we love getting requests, which we've done in the past. So go ahead and leave that in the comments below, or send us an email at info@thesoulfrequency.com and say, please talk about this on sessions, and I will give you a quick perspective shift on any topic that you love. So we'd love to hear from you. Hope you have an amazing week ahead. I will see you back here next week for the sessions episodes.